Welcome, everyone, to the Infinite Star Connection podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Viviane Chauvet, my dear friend Jeff Demers. Thank you for joining us today for another amazing episode. We're still helping our guest, Marcela Velasco, to join us today. Sometimes technical energy can be very, very challenging. But meanwhile, we're waiting to welcome our guests, I'm going to dive into the galactic shamanism world and beyond. I met Marcella about 2 years ago at the Mount Shasta conference, where we were both speakers there, and we were also part of a beautiful first contact, I believe it was, panel where we talk about connecting with our star brothers and sisters in the galactic realm. So I cannot wait to reconnect with Marcella. I know that she is coming. We've been communicating with her. It's just a matter of technical coordination. So thank you for joining us. Kaz, I see you in the chat room. Thank you for being here from Nottingham, UK. That is wonderful. Jeff, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing better and better. It gets better every day. So,
It's oh, I like that. It gets better every day. Yes, it does. And that is absolutely an amazing statement. And it does. And especially here in the United States, we're getting ready for Thanksgiving coming up this week. And it's really about gratitude. So I want to welcome everyone. Hi, Kaz. Hello, Monica. Maya. Love from Montreal. Oh, merci. Crystal with her beautiful family. Thank you for being here. I know that our guest, Marcela Velasco, will be coming up shortly. We've been really excited to see her on the Infinite Star Connections podcast. Lauren, thank you for being here. Hello, everybody. Wow, we have people from the UK, United States, from Montreal, Canada, where I originally come from. So that is pretty awesome. We're always grateful for all of you and supporting our podcasts. We also have Simon from Glastonbury. Wonderful. And Jan from Argentina. Janet from Sweden. Oh my God, you blesses us. Thank you for being here. We're just simply helping our guest Marcella to join us. Just some technical refinement, as we call it. I want to open Sacred Space and just ask all of you how you doing. How's the energy going for you? And being able to allow yourself to really connect. Say hello to Alina, Germany. Awesome. Katie, Joe from the East Coast. Paranormal Girl from the Wales. Welcome. Very much so. Ocean Waves. From Arizona. Hey, for both Arizona. Yay, we have Arizona people here. And Katy, New Jersey Shore. We have the best of the best. Of course we do, because you are amazing and you're holding so much light with us. And so we're we're holding space as our beautiful guest Marcela Velasco will be joining us shortly. We want going to explore her background. She's originally from Peru, everyone, and I know that she traveled between Peru and the United States a lot. So we're going to talk about her journey, and as a galactic shaman, I am curious to learn more about that. So as you are selling into our secret space, yes, thumbs up, absolutely. So thank you for holding space with us. Oh, thank you, Cass. You're awesome. You're awesome too, because it's because of all of us that this is possible. How we gather our light and we're supporting each other and being able to recognize who we are for each other. Absolutely. Crystal says energy has been a little strong and a little crazy, a little weird. Yes, it has been. We want to welcome also Christy from Monseigneur in southern France. Oh, merci beaucoup. Bienvenue. Welcome, welcome. Absolutely.
okay, she should be
And yes,
in any second.
I'm intrigued by the Galactic Shaman. What's that, Jeff?
I said she should be coming in any second.
Yes. Yay! She's going to be coming any second. So, Susanna, hello from Montreal, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Welcome, everybody. We're going to settle in. Our guest is just about to arrive, so stay with us. We're going to dive. In the meantime, you give me the chance to say hello to all of you. Thank you for being here. What state are you from, Jeff? Crystal is asking.
The crazy state.
What does that mean?
I'm from Michigan.
Ah, okay, that explains a lot. So you are from Michigan. There you go, Crystal. Jeff is from Michigan. I think you're still there right now, aren't you?
Me?
Yeah?
Oh yeah,
No, you.
yeah. It's nice and
Yeah,
cold and snowy. Can't wait.
thank you.
I love the cold. Love
I
it.
know you do. You're like a polar bear or something. I'm more and comfortable on my healing rock in Arizona.
Too hot. Too damn hot.
Hello, Mike. I know, right? Hello, Mike. Hello, Janet. Thank you for being here. Good to see you. Demi, thank you for joining us. Our beautiful guest is coming to give it a chance to do some introduction. Um, in fact, let me introduce her. She's coming in. Do you know, Jeff? Is she still
Yeah, she's
joining
trying
us?
to get her phone to work to log in, but she's trying to find a computer because it's such a long way from where she's at. So I'm
Okay.
kind of guiding her into here a little bit.
Alrighty. Well, then, why don't we introduce our guest as she's settling in with technology? Her name is Marcela Velasco. As I mentioned earlier, her and I met at the Manchester conference 2 years ago. We were both part of a ET disclosure first contact type of panel, and we really connected well. I remember her energy at the conference, and we promised that we would stay in touch with each other. So, just to give you an idea, who is Marcela? She was born and raised in Cusco, Peru. She has received her education in the United States, and she also lives in both Peru and here in Colorado. Marcela is known as a galactic shaman and a metaphysician. She's a bridge between the worlds, many worlds, and she is an expert who helps people awaken to the seed of their divinity within using cosmic energies. Marcella, one of her many roles on this earth is to educate people about spiritual approach to contact. And she teaches in places like South America, Spain, Egypt, and other countries. She has dedicated her life to spiritual ET and UFO contact made from the heart. Her primary essential contact is with light beings from the multiverse within the blue sun of Andromeda. The blue sun of Andromeda. Now that I want to know more about that. That I'm curious. From these beings, she has learned how to work with and utilize energies, how to contact to the heart and travel the worlds to activate interdimensional portals of light, raise frequency of the planet, expand consciousness, touch and open your hearts, and much more. Marcella is a galactic being fulfilling her mission, utilizing light codes, spheres from Andromeda, realigning energies in the manifestation of the flower of life on earth to create the bridge between heaven and earth. And so, without further ado, let us bring the beautiful Marcella to the Infinite Star Connections. Marcella, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Yay, you are here, and we're so happy to welcome you.
Thank you so much, and thanks so much for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for accepting our invitation. We were holding sacred space with so many beautiful people in the chat room from all over the world. I mean, we have people from Germany, Sweden, the UK. We have people from Canada joining us right now. And I mentioned to the audience, Marcella, that you and I met 2 years ago at the Mount Shasta conference where we were part of a panel. And I remember distinctly your beautiful energy, and I felt very connected to you. And we said that we would be staying in communication with each other. And here we are today. Isn't that exciting?
Yes, and it's been so long. And I remember a while ago, I accepted to be part of your podcast, and I couldn't do it because all the flights were delayed, and I was stuck in an
Right?
airport in Peru.
That's right. I remember that. We remember that too, Jeff, don't you?
Yeah. Yes. I'm glad to have her here today.
Thank you.
Oh, It is absolutely, and many people in the chat room are also welcoming you, Marcela. So what I did a moment ago, I introduced you to our audience. I read your beautiful bio about your mission, about also your connection with working with many interdimensional beings, light beings from the multiverse within the blue sun of Andromeda and so forth. And I understand that you are originally from Peru, correct?
Yes, from Cusco, Peru.
Cusco, Peru, exactly. Well, let's dive. We want to dive into your world. We want to know more about you. So, how did your journey started? Especially growing up in Cusco, Peru. How did this beautiful journey for you begin?
Well, I was very little, probably around 5, when I noticed that I always had these blue sparkles in the corner of my eyes, and I got used to it because I thought that maybe everyone saw them. The days that I didn't see it, I was all wondering why they disappear. So little by little, I started to learn more things and presence and beings. But then my journey starts when I was growing up and I was a child. My family had a cattle farm above 12,000 feet high in Peru, in the highlands in Peru. And we spent some time there along the year. And I learned from the native people all the Indian cosmogony that relates to the Inca cosmogony. So honoring the earth, the mountains, the water, the stars before they were doing anything, even cutting the tails of the sheep. They would do always ceremony. So that's why they call me a galactic shaman, because I integrated that part into my ET contact. So since I was a little girl, I was always looking at these lights around me, not above, because I was always very scared, but around me, until I started reading a lot of books about the Tibetans, about the Masons, and all kinds of metaphysical stuff when I was 11. So then I understood there was another world that we couldn't see, that it wasn't physical, but it existed. So my parents were always there for me. They never thought that I was asking too much or I was too crazy. It was like, okay, go little by little, little by little. And until I was like 14, I was in a car accident, and it was like a near death experience for me. Um, when I was at the hospital and they were doing all these x rays on my head and everything, I remember I was completely out. I mean, totally out. And then somebody else came back. That somebody else that came back is the being that I am now, with all the knowledge and wisdom. And that's when I started looking more into ET, although I was very scared because they were always there with me. So I was scared because of the light, the light exploding in my face, feeling like I had ear heads, or I had something on my head and I could feel the vibration, somebody tuning in like a radio. And I was feeling these voices and things. And I was completely scared because I didn't know what it was, and it was happening constantly. And then at school, I was studying, always looking, moving my hands, as you can see, and I didn't know that those were some kind of mudras of moving energy. I learned that later. For me, that was the way I studied, and that was it. And then I learned how to do psychography, which is a way that you start writing and channeling information. So that was the way I studied, and that's the way I took all my tests at school, just doing psychography. And then when I was probably around 17, 18, there was a group in Peru that is called Mission Rama, and it's very famous. They have groups all over the world now. And it started with Mr. Sixto Paz. So he had one of his people in Cusco. So I ended up talking to Mr. Felix Davila, and he put me as part of his group, and I was the only one student, so I learned all the protocols for contact and everything from the Mission Rama group. And then the story continues, and the journey goes very deep, different phases, until where I am right now.
Wow, that's
Wow.
pretty good.
That's incredible, Marcela. Thank you for already introducing us to your incredible life journey. So I just want to go back quickly in that point after the car accident and what happened, that you felt, that aspect, the original aspect of you leaving, and this other beautiful being came in, and the beautiful being that who you are today. Um, do you know what is the point of origin of the other being who came through as a walk-in?
Well, well, at that moment, it was just a being that helped me to go through, my younger years from 14 to 21. And then, like growing up, and this being has been with me, allowing me to learn more about myself because there's nothing else. It's about myself going within, acknowledging who I am until 2010, that the actual Andromeda light being is back into my body and in my being, and it's part of myself, and is the one that guides me and teach me to where I am and what I do now.
Did that Andromedan
Beautiful.
being identify himself as an Andromedan?
Well, that was an experience after a long journey of ET contact, after meeting the Mission Rama people, because with them I learned all the protocols for contact from beings from different places, and usually they're beings from the Milky Way. And so I learned about the beings from Jupiter, from Alpha Centauri, from beings from Canis Major, Sirius, and I learned how to differentiate them, how to differentiate their energies, how to see them, how to call them, and all that. Until we used to do weekly meditations as a small group of Mission Rama, until one day we were doing a meditation, and then I was channeling. And then, of course, when you channel and there's a higher force, your your voice changes. And
Mhm.
that day I realized that I was a completely different being. And she, because is a female, she introduced herself as Ariana, a commander from the Blue Sun of Andromeda. And at that point, I didn't know nothing about Andromeda. I've never heard anything about it. So since the day she introduced herself for the first time, it took 7 years of preparation for the first contact in 2010.
So that was the first conscious contact in 2010 for you?
Physical, physical conscious, yeah.
Okay. So what does it, just for the purpose of everybody listening right now, what does it mean, first conscious physical contact? What does it mean?
Well, for me, it means that it's physical, that it happens. You can feel it on 3D, on our 3D world, because something big happened. Everything else happens in a very unknown dimension and reality where these beings are from. And I would say conscious because I don't use any drugs. I don't do any of that besides of meditation. So I was completely conscious with the people that were with me the day that we had this appointment in a certain location at a certain time at a certain date, and we were there and we lived an amazing experience. And that was the beginning of a different journey. But that's the one I'm on now.
When you had this conscious contact, was there a light around you during that
Well,
time?
we were prepared for 7 years for that contact, and those during those 7 years, we were told that we had to be prepared and
Hmm.
follow the 33 steps that they call the Andromeda Galactic Consciousness. So I was waiting, you know, for a list of 33 steps that would be very easy to follow. Actually, it doesn't work that way. So it was for me to discover those 33 steps on my daily life because they're very simple things, but really you have to go through that like a test. And if you don't really pass that test, you have to do it again and again. So it took me 7 years
Hmm.
until we had a day that it was the 20th of the month of October 10 of 2010. So for me, that came to 33, which is a master number.
Mm.
And since I began my contact with different beings and the Andromeda beings, I always went to my father's farm, to a lagoon where underneath there's a crystal temple. So they told us to be there between 5:05 and 7:07 because they use a lot of frequencies in numbers. So we were there, and it was late at night because when it's so high, that place is over almost at 14,000 feet high. It's black already at 555, and there's a very isolated area. You're asking about a light. Well, actually, it was like being in the cosmos because there was this light that coming around until we were lifted. And usually in Peru, even though of the altitude, it doesn't snow often. That day it was snowing, but the snowflake. I live in Colorado, so I know snowstorms very well. The snowflakes had shapes. So for me, that was the beginning of this whole experience because every snowflake was a code. And they would have different shapes and different forms. And then we were completely lifted. And when we were lifted, it was a friend of mine and myself, looking at each other. It's like, look at that, they're already here. And then it will explode. We'll find out what happens. And it was just, we were lifted. And then for me, it was an explosion in tiny atoms and just the consciousness that it was alive. And of course, we were in there. We were taken into the world. So we saw the ships, we saw the spheres they live in, we saw the way they travel. And that was the beginning for me and for the people that are part of my group, which is a very small group, to learn, because since then we were taken into different ships to learn about astronomy, to learn about our human DNA, about healing chambers, ways of movement in the cosmos, lots of things that we keep learning every single day.
Did you experience any missing time prior to that event?
No, that's what I said, that I was completely conscious because we were looking at everything that was happening, the ships, the beings, even the galactic master that in a way could be the essence of the galactic Christ. We saw him. I mean, we were blessed. We felt it. And then after an hour, I felt my driver saying, your father is waiting for me. It's late. He's going to get worried. And that moment is like, okay, have to come back into my body. And it's like, we came back. My friend and I and the other people in the car, we look at each other. It's like, we're here. Everybody's fine. We're fine. Okay, we're ready to go. And we just went to see my father at the farm. And we just said, okay, we went to Andromeda. We're going to be having 3 days of retreat here. The ships are going to be here. They're going to be here. So we just need to be in silence. And that's what we did.
That's wonderful. That's
Because this
amazing.
wasn't an abduction. That
No, 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 no,
well,
no. Right,
this is not an abduction, right? So it was a preparation
right.
for contact, and it's completely different from being abducted and from being a normal contactee. This is more like we're already created a relationship. We recognize each other. We learn so much. And for example, when they teach us, they always say that we have to learn the sound of silence because there's no mind. You have to go into the heart, and then the heart frequency, there's no voice, there's no mind. So it's just the sound of silence. And when they talk about sound, it's always the sound of silence of Andromeda. That's when I meditate, and I
Mhm.
get into my heart, and from that heart frequency, this contact, this type of contact that I also call it galactic spiritual contact, because it goes beyond to just normalities, because they're not. These beings belong to a different reality. I keep learning. I keep learning every day, the way they manifest, the way they teach us so simple things. And they always repeat to us, keep it simple. Keep it simple, because that's going to be the best way to go forward, to do things for humanity, to do things for the planet. Um, I'm not a public person. And usually when I accept attending a conference or an interview, it's because the energy is similar to the people that I'm going to be interacting with. And it's not about me, has nothing to do with me. It has to be with them, that they're trying to create a new path of contact so people can know that it's also a contact from the heart. That once you connect to yourself in the heart, you can connect outside. And it goes beyond lights, it goes beyond CE5s, it goes beyond, metallic crafts moving. There's much more than that.
Yeah, you actually become a conduit for them.
Yeah, yeah.
I I completely resonate with you, Marcela. And again, we're very honored that you have accepted our invitation. And of course, being an Arcturian being myself, Andromedan and Arcturian, we do share a huge commonality in terms of frequencies, heart connections, approach. So you talk about keeping simple and really returning to understand the language of your heart, the state of presence. This is something that we also are teaching a lot to people and also bringing that energy. And you are absolutely correct. And with, of course, respect to other people's techniques, but it goes beyond C5 and metallic ship and night goggles and see ship in the sky. It's more of a sacred return of what we
Mhm.
call soul essence connections, what really translate very closely with what you're saying to your experience through the Andromedan with you, Marcella. It is truly to the honor, the presence of the heart. I love what you're saying about the simplicity because this is exactly what we are returning to and living by the essentials. Somebody in the chat room is asking, you mentioned preparation, 33 steps, to prepare you to where you are today. Is there a correlation with the 33 vertebrae of the spine or anything? Is there a reason why it was 33 steps?
No, actually, it's a master number 33 for contact. And I think it's more dedicated to the galactic world, the meaning of 33, than that it could be correlated to anything on our human bodies or on our human world. It's because probably it's related also to Jesus the Christ, that everything is based on 33. I really never asked or went into it. I just tried to complete what it was happening to me because I didn't have a list. As I said, I was waiting for one. It never happened. It was like every day, okay, so what's the lesson of this week? And whatever it was, it would point me to, for example, to patience, not to just one thing. How many times you had to go through patience this week to make sure that, yes, you can be patient. You can hear, you can listen to others and be completely patient. So things like that. So very simple. So they talk about humbleness, on how there's no ego. I mean, there's a point where you have to kill the ego. That's what I said before. It's not about me or any of us. It's just the message that we're giving out to people to help humanity and to raise the consciousness.
Did you know when you completed? Um,
Well, yes, when I completed my 33 steps, I made a list and sometimes there were 35, 36. So I
mhm,
was always asking, okay, is this correct? So
mhm,
if there was something that I didn't resonate, is it didn't belong or because I needed to go through that again? And there were many, for example, humbleness. I went through that like 3 times, until you die completely and the ego dies completely. There's no way to talk about humbleness, right? So,
mhm.
so there are many things that you just learn on your own because it's a very personal, individual, inner experience. Because even if I would give you a list, probably it won't work for a lot of people the same way it worked for me. So I
Right.
think inner contact, spiritual contact, ET contact is very personal, individual.
And that is very true. And it's going to be a very unique personal experience depending on how open you are, level of consciousness. And it really is being humble become a virtue, a very powerful virtue as a foundation, I would say, to allow true significant evolve and spiritually connections beyond what even in the UFO community sometimes people get caught up in certain ways and want to see. Shiv always says, let's connect more to the people. Let's connect more to the beings and let's realign ourselves. And that absolutely amazing. So refreshing. Marcella, thank you again for being here. I would like to explore your galactic shaman and metaphysician journey. How did you, of course, by the training you went through, the connections, the journey, what you're learning. Can you explain a bit what is a galactic shaman?
Well, the Galactic Shaman in English comes from the Shamana Galactica in Spanish, and that's how they call me in Spain. Many years ago, I used to go to Madrid and just join different groups of people that were working for raising the frequency and consciousness of the planet. Some of those were dedicated to ET contact, and every time they saw me working in the preparation for ET contact, they never really understood what I was doing. So somebody finally said, "No, she is a Shamana Galactica, which is a galactic shaman," because in Peru we have the Quero people. It's a native community that have inherited from the Incas something that is called Inca cosmogony, the study of the cosmos and the offering to the cosmos and the four elements. So when I was growing up and going to my father's farm, the local people that used to work for him at the farm, they would do ceremonies all the time, offerings to the earth and sky for rain, different offerings. So I learned that, and for me, that was the best way to work in connection and to do contact, because when I go out on field works to do ceremonies, for example, to do contact ceremonies, as I call them, contact ceremonies, I always start doing a ceremony, a shamanic ceremony on the earth, so I can connect to the intraterrestrial world, to connect to the keepers of the land, to ask permission to be there, to make sure everything is in harmony on the intraterrestrial world, and myself being on sacred ground. Then I start with the ET contact, and usually they said many times that we are in the middle. We're the bridge between realities. We're the ones that communicate and contact the two worlds. So for me, a galactic shaman is doing that. The ceremony is to honor the earth, the four elements, asking permission, because a shaman is somebody that connects different realities. A shaman is a person that connects different worlds, and it's a healer also. And even in Native Americans, they have shaman. The bear symbolizes a shaman sometimes, and I like that because with time, I have the gift also of being psychic, so I can see the beings, the keepers of the land. When I'm here in Colorado, the Indians, the medicine man, the medicine woman. So I work with that energy first before I do any ET contact.
Did they say when they would be coming back to you, or is it just a one and done, or they make repeated contacts to you?
Excuse me, about what?
Do they come back again, or do you have to go to Peru to interact with them? The
Oh, with the Andromeda beings?
yeah,
No, they travel with me permanently. They
perfect.
are with me wherever I am,
Right.
and I just follow their guidance also for my trips. I mean, I go to different places just to make sure because they talk about these 144 portals of light that was created by these Andromeda beings that were part of the first group of beings that came to Earth at the beginning of times. So they left different light codes, and they left some portals for humanity ready for the end of times, or for the shifting or the transition, whatever is the best word for that. So
Hmm.
when they send me to a place, so I know why it's the reason, and they're there. This year I was in Patagonia, Argentina, and I was in the area of the glaciers. And of course, I channel information, and there's one part in the universe of the blue sun of Andromeda that is made of ice, and they use a lot of hydrogen in their lives. So being in the glacier area in Argentina, for me was to see those beings in the ice too, and just open up that blue platinum portal that they needed to send all the energy. And they think that Patagonia, like the tip of Africa, are the ones that are also holding the planet during the shifting of the axis too. So I was in May in Argentina, and I was in September in Africa. I went to Namibia, and I connected to the desert. So I go where they send me. I accept the missions, and they're always there for me.
Beautifully said. I'm same way with my Octurian group. They send me and they will tell me, okay, we need you there. Like this year, we were in South Africa ourselves in Durban, and we were doing work with the Indian Ocean and some galactic aquatic beings. And I would be told, we need you now. Like next year, we're going to be going to the UK and different places
Yeah.
where they tell me where we need to be there physically and do the work. So I completely relate to you. Marcella, there's a question for you, and I think it's a beautiful question. Uh, you connecting with those beautiful Andromedan beings, and Andromeda is very dear to my heart. I feel very connected to them, as much as I am a nocturne being. Um, would Are you connected to other being? Like for example, Joe is asking, do you know where the unicorns are from, or other type of beings like that?
Well, I don't know where the unicorns are from, but these beings that I'm in contact with, because Andromeda, it's a spiral galaxy, right? And for example, our dear friend Alex Collier talks about the constellation of Andromeda. I talk about the central sun of Andromeda. So the central sun of Andromeda, it's a portal for these beings that they go through the blue sun of Andromeda into another universe. That's the universe where they live. So these beings have no material bodies. They do it in the world. In ours, won't happen, but they can materialize in different forms. And I learned to see them. That's regarding your question, Jeff,
Mhm.
before, because sometimes they're so big, they're so tall, or the ships are so big that they learn how to materialize everything in miniature.
Mhm.
And just by sensing, I know that they're here, they're above my house, they're outside of my deck, they're looking at me. It can be tiny like that. And I know they're there. These beings have been traveling all over the universe and different universes since the beginning of the creation. So they left a lot of information and light codes in different places, like they did on the Earth. So I suppose that the unicorns and all those beings can come from different places and were created for different reasons.
Absolutely. And I know that and as sometimes odd as it may sound, there's a lot of people who see them and connect with them. So like you just mentioned, really beautifully, those beings exist for different reasons. And I think it's absolutely amazing. Um, I would like to explore more about your incredible journey with that aspect of the Andromedans. Have they ever shared with you if there's different groups of Andromedan within their galaxy, maybe evolving a different level of consciousness to make the difference between the group that you're connecting with. Others maybe connect with other type of Andromedans.
Well, Andromeda, it's a huge galaxy.
Yeah.
There are beings in many different places in Andromeda. Some of them are like the typical ones with the big pointed head like that. Some others are blue, some others are golden, some others are transparent. Usually we relate blue with Andromeda because it's a blue galaxy. I think all of them are working at the same time. Some of them are more evolved spiritually. Some of them are more technical. I think there are a lot of genetic doctors in Andromeda. Uh, they use a lot of different kinds of energies for healing. So there are a lot of doctors in different places. But the beings that I connect with are very high frequency beings. And they use their ships, which are alive too. And sometimes they're just spheres that are alive too, to help people. Sometimes we take people into ships that are hospitals when they have issues with DNAs, or for some reason they come to us. We try to help them that way. So they're connected to a hospital in one of the Andromeda ships. They do help humanity a lot. The only thing is that we don't know it. People don't know it. People don't realize, because everybody is waiting for a physical manifestation
Mhm.
in 3D, that
Right.
you can see this huge ship hanging over your roof, and all these beings, whatever size they are, whatever face they have, coming down to your room. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because everything is done in energy, because everything is based on energy. So everything is energy. And if we have to say something to people, or I would like to say something to the people that are listening to me, is to connect, I mean, with themselves first, to go into their hearts. And once you're connected to yourself, you can give permission to other beings. It doesn't matter where they come from in the universe, but if they're from the light,
Hmm.
to connect with you and start creating a relationship. So when you talk to the angels, it's the same thing. So just create a relationship so you can have a doctor near you. You can learn how to see their sparkles of light. You can see them. For me, for example, that's another type of experience of contact. I When I see the sparkles of light in my eyes, I always take a picture of my eye, because that's the reflection of what's in front of me that maybe I don't see because I'm in with a lot of people around. So through the reflection in my eye, that I know who they are, what they're doing. So we have to pay attention to very little details because they're always around. It's just that we think that the way they're going to manifest is going to be so huge on 3D that everybody's going to see it. Well, I don't think it's going to happen that way. It's very individual. And if the day comes that it happens, there will be so much light that for us will be a lot of darkness, but maybe there's so much light because we cannot see sometimes so much light on our planet. So I think we have to learn that contact goes beyond just ships or different things. For people, if you want to be healed, just request the help. Just believe it's happening. Just ask for help. Even the Bible says, ask for help and it will be given to you. So it's exactly the same. You just have to learn how to connect and how to work through that connection.
Do you
Uh,
have they ever done any communication with crop circles, the Andromedans? You know?
Not the ones that I'm in contact with,
Okay.
because they use a lot of solar energy.
Hmm.
So, for example, in my work, I travel a lot to solar temples, like in the Incas, the Mayas, the Aztecs, the Egyptians, and a lot of codes were left there that they sometimes they need to be activated, and sometimes, like Vivian, we need to be physically in one place. Some others we don't have to. We can do it just in the subtle world. We can do it with intention. We can do it by location, but sometimes we need to be in places like that physically. So for these beings, it's a lot about solar energy, how the solar temples left on the planet by different cultures, they need to be useful. They need to be activated to help humanity. So probably there are other type of beings that are related to the crop circles.
Okay. Just a question. Curious.
and that's very true. And like you said, even yourself, Marcella, to your amazing work, you know, you sometimes will be called to be there physically because your physical vessel, your presence, is needed to anchor with us the new frequencies, the code working with the portal of light, reestablishing communications, and other times you can do it remotely. You can just do it through your energy body or even just connecting in different ways. So I really relate to that because my work is very much both more like
I know.
physically when I need to be there and when I can do it in a whole different level. Um, I would like to, you mentioned about suggesting to people that they have to make the work, connect to their heart, to make the connections. Based on your amazing experience and life journey, what would be some tips or some wisdom you can share in terms of best way to achieve that communication, to be able to invite enlightened intelligence to connect with us?
Well, I would say the first thing would be to learn how to meditate. It doesn't matter how you meditate, really. You don't have to follow any patterns of special meditation. You just have to learn how to be completely
Center.
aligned with yourself.
Right.
Go inside, and I know it's hard. It's not easy, and to stop the mind thinking and start just a process of self communication first. Because sometimes, I mean, we want to do all kinds of things, but following others and then following ways that sometimes they're not adjust to everybody. So the first thing would be to connect to yourself in any way you can do, and appreciate who you are. And if you can see yourself from within, like having a mirror inside and just see yourself. And if there are things that you need to change, start changing that, because I think everything starts with ourselves before we can go outside.
Yeah, the Zetas call that standing in your energy. Once
Yeah.
you do that, it's infinite possibilities where what you can do. But it's to get to that point. It's very hard, but it's not impossible.
No, it's hard, but at the end, it's the self knowledge of each other and the self consciousness, because a lot of people also mistaken. For example, in Peru, the use of ayahuasca, it's an hallucinogenic. And
Mhm.
a lot of people go to Peru for the experience of that, thinking that's going to heal them, that's going to help them forever. It doesn't work that way. That
Right.
was used in the Inca times for ceremonies. So the high priest would have the power to be psychic and see through. We don't need that. I mean, we can achieve the same ways of being psychic, to see through, to do many things through ourselves without damaging your physical body. Just learning how to breathe, how to meditate, how to be in peace, how to connect. Even if you're sitting outside, for example, where I am right now, it's snowing and it's cold. So just looking at the clouds, that's a way to connect. So if each of us learn how to connect with nature, how to connect with ourselves, find a little piece where you can be in harmony and you can go within without even thinking that you're doing it. I think that's the easiest way, because sometimes we think, how do I do that? Who's going to give me um, the keys to do it? And if we think too much, it's complicated. So if we keep it simple, it's very easy.
Yeah, it's actually a learned skill, and it's just like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get.
Yeah.
It is so very true. And of course, it's all that also returning to living by the essentials, but being able to reattune yourself to the sacred pulse of life, the rhythm of life. And as we're honoring ourselves more and more, and we're more in harmony with nature, elementals, the earth, the animal kingdoms, our inner universe, we're becoming a beacon of light, and then everything starts to open up to be able to connect, like you explained so beautifully, Marcella, about more conscious spiritual form of communication. And I really like that because it brings us back into higher vibration. There is a beautiful question from a lady from France, Christy, and I would love to read her question to you, Marcella, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Of course, thank you. Christy is saying, there is a solar temple at Monseigneur in France. We have been acknowledging this year to activate a beacon of Christ consciousness at the solar temple there. Do you have any advice or recommendation to help us to do that?
Well, there are many ways to recognize a solar temple, solar energies. There's always somebody that must feel that that's sacred land. And if there's a group, it would be very good if they can get together, start meditating. Maybe somebody will be able to see. And when they started to see the light and they can start channeling, they will know exactly what to do. But I would say that in France, there are a few spots in the south of France. I go there every year and I don't go on a mission. My husband is French, so I go there to visit family. But I go to different places in the south of France that hold some of the Templar energy also, that's still hidden there, and a lot of solar energy.
Beautiful. I can feel it just by listening to you. And I feel like the simplicity again to simply align yourself with the intention, I would say, plus with the solar energy and bring the consciousness in. I feel, Christy, you're going to be all set to go and trusting your heart and the heart of your beautiful group that you also a part of for sure. So that was really beautiful. Thank you for that,
Thank you.
Marcella. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. So we're at the end of 2022 already. Um, Would you have any word of wisdom in terms of encouraging people what's coming in, shift on the planet? We're moving into a new era of consciousness. Maybe anything you would like to share from what also your Andromedan group may be teaching you or reminding you? Um,
I think we have to remember that we have been through COVID times for 2 years, and there was a lot of fear in the air all over the world. Wherever you went, there was a lot of fear. And then after COVID, it was so hard to travel because there was a lot of fear. So I think we have to go above fear, and we just have to trust. We just have to trust that whatever it's coming, it's for the better, and that we can be part of that. That we need to remember that all of us are on earth on a mission, and our missions are missions of love and light. So if we start thinking that even ET contact, it's a soul connection, that everything is based on energy and unconditional love. So if we start working for ourselves and take away politics, fear, diseases, because at the end, based on energy, there's going to be many, many different ways of healing too. But we have to go above that. And once we create a new source of light above the matrix, that sometimes is not a good matrix, we can do better things for humanity and for all of us. We need more people working for the light. We need more people awakening. We need more people to keep away from reading and listening so much and trying to follow up everybody's experiences, because it has to be so individual. So all of us can have just a tiny bit of something, but we're all part of this, like in the flower of life, everything is interconnected. So that's what it is. We're all part of the same thing. We're just one. And we're here, trying to do the best to create the best world for us, but based, of course, on unconditional love, peace, and oneness.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Again, returning to living by the essentials. Absolutely. And this is more and more where we're heading to. Instead of oversaturating the mind with so much information, I see that a lot, even in the UFO field and the spiritual community, with all the videos and the cosmic origin and all of this, and then all this sometimes confusion we can get in the mind that just create veil of illusions. We have a question for you from Shane. And I'm going to read this question for you. That's okay, Marcella. Shani is saying, I have started the Celtic shamanism. Do you have any information on codes in Ireland?
No, I don't. I don't. I don't know much about Ireland. I've never been there. So maybe one day I will, and then maybe I'll find out more about it. But I don't. I don't know anything about it.
And that's quite okay. I had a feeling because that's probably more specialized in terms of, different level of shamanism and especially the beautiful Celtic ways of doing it. So thank you, Shane, for bringing that energy. Maybe you can hold sacred space with us. I appreciate that. Paolo is asking you, Marcella, is the Andromedan group connected to any particular crystal or stone to connect with them or their consciousness? In other words, is there some particular stone or crystal that maybe people can utilize to better connect to the group of Andromedan that you are connected to?
That's a good question.
Well, the beings that I'm in contact with, they use different colors of energy according also to the skin they have. So I would say blue, I would say golden, I would say transparent, and sometimes it's a mix of different colors. So if we're going to relate that energy to crystals, I use a lot of alabasters, a lot of quartz crystals. And I don't think it has nothing to do with actually which crystal it is. It's more on the intention that you can put on a crystal. Any crystal, it could be a rose quartz, it could be an amethyst, it can be anything, because at the end, that's going to be a tool for us for our meditations, for our connections, for anything we want. So we can code crystals, because I remember in the 80s, during the time of crystals and New Age people, the first thing, a woman that was giving a lecture about New Age in Peru, the first thing she said was like, okay, you use a crystal and you just coded it with whatever you want, because they're like a computer disk. So you're just going to code that with your energy, with yourself, whatever you want, and use that every time wherever you go. So I think that would be the best option. Choose whatever you want and just connect using that energy, because it's going to be yours. It's yours. It's nobody else's. So it's once more, it's a very individual work.
Indeed, and it's true because each crystal will have a different resonance,
Mhm.
how it speaks to you, and you can utilize that as a tool to help you attune your own communications, your connections to your heart, balancing, aligning within yourself. So it really is. I do have very specific stone myself that resonate with me the most, and that helps me to keep my vibration at a higher level. So that is very much, I'm really much in resonance with you. Marcela, I would like to explore another aspect of your work. When to your bio, it says that you're using light codes and spheres from Andromeda to realign energies and manifest the flower of life on Earth to create a heaven and earth that we are returning to. Can you please share a bit more about this amazing work?
Well, when I talk about light codes, actually they are light codes. They write, and most of my work, I mean, it's only reconfirmed by my photographs, and I don't use any special cameras or nothing. It's just a phone and a regular camera, because I know that if they want me to see something, they're going to put it there. So they write. They write different kinds of languages that I call them ancient languages, like Sanskrit or ancient Arabics, like also Galactic language. At the beginning, I thought it was a language that is called Iridine, that it was developed in northern Argentina in a place that is called Erx. But it's not. It's similar, but it's not. So I call it the Galactic language because they write in light. So once I see it, I see the code and I ask what it means. I use that wherever I need to go, that code is needed for. So those light codes are given to me sometimes as a vision, and usually I ask permission to take a photograph so I can have that. So I use those light codes that they send to activate those portals of light. And what I do is I go back to different places on Earth to recreate the energy that they left at the beginning of times when they were here, when these beings came here at the beginning of creation. So I use what they send me that it's important for the new times. And when I activate a portal, as I said before, I start with the intraterrestrial world. So that light goes into the heart of the earth, activating the temples underneath. We know that there are thousands of crystal temples in the intraterrestrial world, and there are intraterrestrial beings that are keepers of those temples, are also in contact with different persons. One of those is me. So So I hold that energy that comes from the cosmos, that sometimes you just see it like this huge ray of light. And that's what I say, that I take a lot of pictures, because if I said it's blue platinum, that's the light's going to have. If it's golden, it's going to be golden light. So it goes to the center of the earth to activate the grid underneath the intraterrestrial world, to reconnect with all the beings from the intraterrestrial world. And then on the surface, it will expand energy to all the sacred places on earth, to allow people, humanity, that whoever walks there, they can feel that energy and take it home to different places. And then from above, from the ET world, that's all interconnected. So on those places where I open portals, or I call them tubes of light that are coming down to earth, it's open, they're activated. So these ships, if there are ships stations on that area, the light can go through those portals and expand different levels.
I think we should clarify that a light code is a series of instructions for that code. Is that
But
correct?
it's also a code of light.
Hmm.
because it's energy integrated into that lettering. It's all light.
Right. But that lettering has a series of
Well,
instructions to
well,
do its work.
yeah, it's coded with different information for
Hmm.
that specific area,
Hmm.
but because it's a light code or a code of light, the frequency that is coded into it's very high, and
Hmm.
sometimes there are places that require more than the others because that's the way we're protecting our planet. We're protecting Gaia as a living entity.
Hmm.
Living entity, absolutely. And once you start to maintain and develop your relationship to Gaia or Mother Terra as a living entity, you can feel the meaning of the sacred flower of life and how everything is very much interconnected. So I felt that in my being, in my heart, when you said that, Marcella, about the living entity, Gaia, the consciousness. I can feel that. So thank you for bringing that beautiful, expensive energies, especially right now as we are at the end of 2022. We need that more than ever to return into that beautiful expansion of light. So, oh, beautiful. We have another question for you from Janet. And so, if I may, I'm going to read the question to you, Marcella. So, to your knowledge, Marcella, Janet is asking, are they many star seeds who are connected with the star beings, but especially in Sweden?
Well, the first thing I would say is that all this wording that usually I hear it in English more than in Spanish. Um, if we don't pay too much attention to it, the star seeds and who am I connected with and who my galactic family is or who are my star brothers and sisters, if we leave that aside and then for a moment we think that we all come from a galactic origin.
Hmm.
And it depends on us to discover our roots or not. It's not really important because when it happens, when contact happens, that's when we need to find out who are the beings that we're being in contact with and why. If it's continuous, we need to find out who they are, why they're contacting me, and maybe at that moment I will figure out who am I connected with, who are, and star seeds and the origins and all that. For me, it wasn't important. For me, it was just to understand that I was here on a mission and to understand that I wasn't looking for them. They were looking for me. And I think that's the difference. We don't choose them. They choose us. And I've never been to Sweden either. And I don't know people from Sweden. Maybe one day. And probably yes, probably there are many beings that are protecting Sweden and many beings that have ships on that area. And because of the location of Sweden and the type of people, I would say that probably they're more related to the Pleiadians that these Andromeda beings.
I got another question about the light codes, if I can ask. How many light codes does it take to activate a portal?
Well, sometimes it just takes one
Hmm.
because everything that it's needed in that place to raise the frequency or to
Hmm.
expand consciousness or put it as a center of that country so it can irradiate light all over just needs one word.
Gotcha.
And one thing also I noticed about semantics is that language is also being redefined. The more you work in higher consciousness, the more certain words like light or codes or consciousness, contact, star seeds take on an all different meaning. This is one thing I have noticed more in terms of the invitation to listen to the wisdom of the heart is because we are reattuning certain semantics and we are also readjusting our vibrational comprehension of different way of for expressing ourselves or some concept. I have noticed that a lot of change in that direction. um, there's a beautiful question for you from Simon in Glastonbury. And Simon is always there with us, and we honor you, Simon. And bless your heart. Beautiful question for you, Marcella. He's asking, do light codes work on different light frequencies directly into our light bodies and without the need to work with sound?
Yes, you can use light codes for anything because they're just energy, and we can have our own light codes. For example, I'm I'm an alternative medicine practitioner also, and I learn a lot from biomagnetism. But there are some teachers in Chile where I think they're very advanced. They use some type of energetic medicine that is basically based on energy, and you just heal bodies with
Mhm.
energy and light codes and orders on your physical body. So I think light codes can be used in anything, and we can use that. I mean, for healing or for anything that it's needed.
I couldn't agree more, absolutely. And it's very much reattuning ourselves to more and more ancient form of language, like vibration, tones, frequencies, and all of it. And we can utilize them in many ways. I know that personally I use a lot of our Arcturian frequency healings in different ways without having to have verbal words attached to them or sound. So we're returning more to rediscovering.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear us, Marcella?
I think every yes, yeah, it stopped for a little bit. I think everything is changing in the universe too. It changes continuously, as everything changes on the earth too continuously. So because energy changes all the time, we are changing too. So even though light codes and light frequencies and everything that probably we knew in the past, they're becoming obsolete right now. So there's a lot of new energy coming through. There are new light codes, new frequencies, new everything. Even our DNA is changing. So we
Mhm.
have to adjust to that light. So whatever we do, and any energy that we channel or we can use, and it's there and people acknowledge that it's there, use it. Nobody needs to tell you that it's true or it's not. It's for you to use it and learn how to use it. That's what it is. Everything is there. We just need to know how to use it.
That's a very powerful point you're making, Marcella, because it is. Everything is shifting. Vibration, codes, light, our perception, our capacity to also hold these new frequencies coming through. And so it's important to let go of, mental concept around all of this and allowing more the understanding and what I call the return of ancient language of it, and allowing ourselves to be adaptable, more fluid and receiving what's coming in, and there will be more coming through. I receive a very similar message from my own star delegations, so I am very much in sync with that as well, Marcella. Any upcoming project things? What's coming up for you on 2023 that maybe you would like to share with our audience today?
Well, actually, I didn't finish yet. 2022. I'm ready to go back to Egypt. For me, that's the place that holds a lot of pristine light codes in the temples. Sometimes people don't realize that when they go into an Egyptian temple, everything is coded there for humanity. So in my case, it's just putting my hand through the walls. Everything is written there, and that's a way for me to recharge my energy also, and then use it as a base, using the Nile as a base for contact. Usually, when I go to Egypt, there are different types of ships from Andromeda, from the Andromeda world, that are there. So so that's going to be my next trip these next few days, and then I go back to Peru, and that's where I close my solar circle of 2022. And then 2023, I don't know. I think I cannot plan nothing in advance. I just follow guidance, and whatever comes, I accept the mission, and I go. But usually, if I don't have any missions, I'm home in Peru, or I'm home here in Colorado.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for this. I know just the energy is where we are moving into. It's interesting you talk about Egypt and the temples there and the coats. When I was a few months ago in Durban, I felt the energy of the entire continent, and I felt it personally. I felt a disconnect through Cairo and Egypt. I personally feel less connected to Egypt than other places in the world in terms of the frequencies. To me personally, I feel like Egypt is a bit disconnected. I feel like there's a need to be reconnected, realign in a more the purity way. I feel there's a need to come back to that pure connections. So my teams have been telling me no Egypt for now, but maybe later on. But
Yeah,
so
well,
thank you for being brave.
probably it has to do also with past lives. Maybe you didn't have too many past lives in there. It's like you just went to South Africa. For me, South Africa was very intense many years ago. I went back to Namibia this year after 20 years, and I never felt before that I need to go back. And I went back this year because I needed to reconnect with the desert. And of course, they were waiting for me, and there was there was an unbelievable contact in the middle of the desert, and nowhere near the dunes. And yes,
Ah,
they
yeah.
do those things. So when the time comes, it's going to be the right time, and you're going to know. For me, Egypt is home, like Peru, and that's the way I recharge my energy. Um, I get everything that I need to go on. Plus, I get all these light codes and galactic writing on the water of the Nile or above the Nile, and that helps me for the following month or the following year.
That's a good point, and thank you for bringing that up. You're right. I have very little actual life incarnation on the earth. I only came at very specific historical timeline, and I have very little connection to Egypt in that sense. That to me, and there's many places on the earth that there's not a point of connection for me. So Egypt is definitely one of them. And that's because I'm also perceiving other things from a more intergalactic level. I see other things going on that needs to be realign and readjust, especially where we're moving into. So I love your work, my work, and how we are simply very
Yeah.
much in parallel and synchronicity with each other. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No, thank you.
Um, oh no, absolutely. I honor you, and there was other questions. I see one. People are so engaged with you, just so you know. I am watching very closely the chat room because people are just very much in sync with you. They're loving what you're sharing. Um, one more time, and one more question I'm going to ask from Shane. Very interesting. I'm not sure how you'll be able to answer, but I'll leave that up to you. So there's a two-layer question from Shane. Number one, he's asking you, by any chance, have you ever heard of a binary star system called Spica?
Well, I remember I've heard about binary systems. I don't recall the name because even the names can be different, can be channeled, can be given at certain different points. I think there are many different binary systems.
And they are. And you're right, the names can be also interpreted in a certain way. And this is why when I connect with multiple groups, there's no names. It's just a state of presence. So I'm with you. We heard a lot about specific stone like moldavite that apparently would come from a meteor or it has um or it comes from different places. Are you familiar with any of them, whether it's moldavite or others that specifically come from another point of origin outside of the earth?
I know people that have small pieces of meteorites, uh, but I never had one myself, and I don't feel the need. to have one, because usually about crystals and stones and all that, it needs to get to you. It needs to get to you somehow, and you can feel the connection. I mean, I collect stones from all over the world, and I take stones from one point to the other. It's like I'm going to Egypt with a bag of stones from Namibia, because the desert needs to be on the Nile. So that's the way we connect everything. But I've seen people having pieces of meteorites, but I don't have one. And I don't know if Moldavite would be one of those either.
And that's perfectly fine. Just sometimes curiosity to explore that. And I know that was another question that was asked in the chat room for you. And I think that if you look at your own journey since a child moving up to today, and I love the fact that you are listening to guidance to take you for where you need to be. Any wisdom in terms of what would be some knowledge of piece of wisdom or simple practices that people can utilize to better understand who they are, better understand what is their purpose of their own life journey here on this earth, and just to help people overall navigate through changes.
Well, as you just said, it's personal, it's individual. I would say that you need to know yourself in different levels. The physical level, the emotional, the spiritual. I know what you want, what you're waiting, what you're looking for, and of course, people look all over the place for answers. And nobody else is going to give you an answer unless you really feel it inside, and it has to be your own answer. So, besides meditation or using crystals, basically is the art, because it's an art of closing your eyes and try to be in peace for 5 minutes, and then maybe you can start listening in the heart, not in the mind. And then the idea of sometimes fear, as I said before, competition. And if we start thinking that the ego plays a lot of games, and we can learn to be humble, that would be a key for many things.
It is definitely a key. Jeff, my friend, anything or comment or question you would like to add?
Yeah, we have a picture from you. Would you like to explain it a little bit on that ET? Is on your
Yes.
chest? Okay, let me get that up here, and we
Yes.
can talk about it. Here we go.
I'm going to show you a picture, everyone, so stay tuned.
There it is. Okay, let's
Well,
talk about the
the thing,
picture.
Go
yes,
ahead, please.
to reconfirm my work, and that's for me. I take pictures all the time, and I ask permissions to take pictures. Or when I do a ceremony, there's always somebody with me that would take pictures of me. And it's not about me. I'll repeat that again. It's not about me. It's the way that I can reconfirm what I'm talking about. So this picture, I use it as a symbol of a presentation. In my interviews, during my conferences, or anything, because it says connecting worlds. Because if you can see, I have an ET face on my chest. This is the Temple of Abydos in Egypt, that for me, it was a place of ET contact. And at the beginning of times, it was even created by ET beings. So you can see the blue light and the ET face on my shirt. And that's also to show how manifestations of beings and light can be shown different ways. I don't need to be looking at the sky. I can manifest it on my own body, on my own physical body. So that's the way it happens. And then on the other side, it says that contact for me is a soul connection based on respect, unconditional love, and oneness. And I think that's what ET contact is. A lot of respect and a profound connection. Once we develop a relationship with the beings that we're in contact with, then it becomes a very loving relationship, instead of becoming just trying to find out reasons and why a ship is there and why that one is beaming. It's not about that. It goes beyond. So we need to go within. We need to go into the heart. And for me, all my life and my work would come as a single world. that it's based on the contact of the heart.
Okay, now this face, this is
An ET face.
right, right there, right?
Yeah,
That's the area we're looking at, right?
yeah.
Gotcha. And where did this light come from? It was just like around you.
Oh, that was just around me because if you see there, those are pillars of the temple.
Hmm. And you were
But
you touching this wall?
because they I know
Just
the pillars are behind me, but the face, it's a being from Andromeda, the ones that they have no hair, that
hmm
they have bald heads, and the blue beings, and usually blue beings of this universe within the sun of Andromeda, the blue sun of Andromeda, are blue, and that's the energy that is manifested there. It's not me. It's the being.
that's really cool.
I love it feel
Well,
like this gentle.
most of my photographs. Well, most of my photographs are like that, and when I talk or I do presentations, I try to show them my photographs so they relate to what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because you're actually facing the camera.
Yeah,
If I see that correctly. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. You
thank
can
you.
see very well. And you said that the temple was actually built by star
Well,
beings?
that's what I think.
Okay.
That's what I think. I think it was used in the past by the first Andromeda beings on Earth, that they were on Egypt. And a lot of metaphysical people go to that temple and they go to that area. And sometimes I go to the desert in that area for contact. Um, and for me, it's one of the most important temples in Egypt.
Yeah, you can tell that you have a very strong soul connection to the area. So it's beautiful, even for you and the meaning it has when you go there. So I am thrilled that you're going back. And thank you for
Thank you.
bringing so many beautiful light codes that we definitely need it on the planet. And, especially where we are naturally evolving into. So thank you for being of service in that way. Marcella, how can
Thank you.
I want to post it in the chat room? How can people connect with you? How they can find you, Marcella?
Well, they can find me through a personal Facebook. Maybe later, because I don't have any guidance about it. Maybe later I will have a public Facebook. This is still a personal Facebook. If they want, they can look for me on Facebook with my name and write me through Messenger, or they can send me emails on a Gmail address.
Okay,
Perfect.
perfect. Thank you so much for this. I
No,
just want to
thank
make sure
you.
that, of course, want to honor you. One thing about us, about Jeff and I, is when we have a guest, we honor our guests. It's all about you, supporting you, and how we can do that. And this is why the conversation is all around your experience, your knowledge, your wisdom, and of course, we always involve our beautiful audience that we honor. We have about just about 7 minutes left, and what my heart is guiding me to ask you, only if you want to, Marcella, would you maybe guide us in a little blessing, or maybe like a short meditation, or just a blessing that we
Oh,
can all receive?
we can do it together, Vivian.
Okay, already. Well, I will let you lead the way because I'm just so happy that you're here.
Thank you. Well, if we can we can close your eyes, and just breathe deeply. Surround yourself in light. Put yourself inside a bubble of light. Feel the light around you. Start breathing light, golden light. Allow that light to go in through your body to heal everything that is needed. And we're going to feel this huge light that is golden, is transparent, is blue, coming to the center of our planet and expands light all over. We're going to wrap our planet in light inside and outside. And we're going to allow every single person in the planet to breathe and feel this energy. all this light coming through today, it's filled with light, harmony, and peace. Hoping for a better world for all of us because we are all one. Thank you.
Hmm. Thank you so much. I saw the light. I saw a beautiful sphere of light and multiple layer of that sphere of pure light moving everywhere around the globe. In every country, every places, every city, whether it's to the aquatic or the air and the earth, everywhere. And I did feel the presence of the light. And it's been amazing, and our time together has happened so quickly. We connected with you, you answered the call, and here we are. And look at the magic of what we have co-created today. And I feel that more than more than ever, we have really helped a lot of people worldwide tonight and today, and wherever you're listening to their podcast again, to return to the essential. Remember who you are, trust your light, live by your heart, the wisdom, the guidance of your heart, and be present. And I feel like that's very much an aspect of what I retain a lot from your sacred teaching. And I will tell you, Marcella and Jeff too, and everyone listening, I have been feeling the presence of your Andromedan group. And in fact, I want to tell you, this is my banner with light language. My door is just cracked open, and I felt and saw to the corner of my eyes a silhouette of a blue being coming through. And I saw my Octarian father coming through. And I'm like, oh, it's a reunion. We're connecting with each other.
It is.
Yes,
Thank you.
that is absolutely amazing. So just just quickly, Marcella, under what name are you on Facebook to make sure people find you?
Like it's written there, Marcela Velasco.
Okay, that's what I put it because somebody made a comment that there was too many names appearing under the name as it was
Oh, it
typed.
must be. So probably they have to look for me under the connection through you, uh, or
Yes,
like
perfect.
mutual friend or something like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you so
What a
much, Vivian, and thanks so much, Jeff.
Thank you, man. This has been a great. The chat is very knowledgeable, and they're really good. So I think you answer most of their questions, if not all of them. It's really good stuff.
Thank you.
was incredible. Thank you for being on the planet. Thank you for accepting to be here and assisting all of us in the most important time of all times, how we are returning to finally embracing our divinity. And of course, we honor the the group of Andromedan that you are connected to the beautiful blue sun in the Andromeda galaxy. We honor them as well. And
Thank you.
it's a group that is overall very dear to me, as I feel very connected over to them as well. We hope to see you soon again, Marcella. And
Thank you.
if anything we can support you, please reach out because we also, our doors are open and this is a mutual support and we're definitely here for you as well. So please reach out.
Thank you
Um,
so much. Maybe I'll see you in Shasta next year.
oh, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Are you planning on coming back next year?
Yeah, probably. This year I couldn't do it. I was in Peru, but maybe so.
Is this Mount Shasta in June?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm going to be there.
good. Yes, with Rob Potter, we say hi to our friend Rob.
Hmm?
Yes, we're going to be there, Peter and I as well. And Marcella, if you come, definitely we need to connect. My friend Jeff, you coming? I want your table next to mine. So here we
Yeah.
go.
As far as I know, we're there. So
Beautiful.
Thank you so
Well,
much. And infinite
you much
blessings to both
love
of
to
you
you.
and all the people that listen to you and follow you because I know that you have thousands of followers too. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome, my dear. Most welcome. Thank you for being a star sister and a beautiful light on this planet. I want to make an announcement for December. So here's the dates, everyone. We're coming back on Sunday, December 11, 2022. That's still 2022.
Hmm.
Sunday, December 11 at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. We're having David Wallace as our guest. That's going to be another treat through the stars and beyond with David and his incredible first-hand experience on board ships, what he has learned, the scientific background, the spiritual aspect, and beyond. So David Wallace is going to be with us on December 11th. And then on the next week, Sunday, December 18, we're going to wrap up 2022 together. And Jeff and I are doing a special Q&A with our groups. So, and this is how we're going to wrap up 2022 together. So December 11 and the 18th, and then we'll be back stronger with more light than ever in 2023. But for now, Marcela, our love, our gratitude,
Thank you.
and to you all, we'll see you on December 11. Namaste, everyone. Stay in your light.